Hey everyone, how's everybody doing today? We are here on the 4th of July. I'm I believe, the third speaker of today. We're having the 8th anniversary for Kardec Radio, and we're on the roll. So I believe we had Leo speaking from 8 to 9, and we had Angie from 9 to 10. I know it went over a little bit, so we're starting a little bit later, but that's okay. So we'll start but I'll be over before 11 o'clock. So we have Fred, who's going to be the next speaker. So the topic I chose to speak was about freedom. I thought it was very appropriate to speak about freedom because it is the 4th of July. And what beautiful country represents freedom as well as the United States. So we're going to talk, and I'm just sharing here on my own, so this way other people can also see it. And I think we are good. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, it's all shared. Thank you, and sorry for the small delay. So anyway, I would like to start by talking about what is freedom? Are you free? My first question to you is, do you consider yourself a person who is truly free? Can we truly be free? So you can think about that, and you can always leave comments and think about your own life. Are you completely free? Can we be completely free living on Earth? It's an interesting idea because we're going to make references not just for the psychology part of it, but to also the spiritual side of it. And for every question, we're going to kind of wonder both sides. I have chosen 5 questions from the Spirit's book for us to really dig down into this whole concept of freedom, this whole concept of liberty, this whole concept of free will. So I have chosen some texts, some good psychologists that I'm fond of, and we're going to bring that up a little later on the show, and we're going to speak for about half an hour. But let's go biblical. Okay, so let's think about in James 1:25. James brought to us, and this was the first time the concept of the law of liberty was actually mentioned in the Bible, in the Second Testament. So he said that, but the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing. Interesting that he says that, because liberty imposes more of just having the power to hear and to grasp concepts, but it entitles you the power of doing something. We have to be very careful, because a lot of times we truly believe that we are the masters of our own lives, but there are so many other factors that controls what we can actually do. So liberty, again, it's a very broad concept for us to bring this. We've always heard the phrase, your freedom ends when you impose on somebody else's freedom. I can yell from the top of my lungs as much as I want on the middle of the street. I can yell, sure. But if I'm in a movie theater and it's crowded, and if I yell fire, I can't do that. See, that's where my freedom, that's where my liberty, my freedom of speech even, which is a constitutional right, is no longer. Because now yelling fire in a crowded theater will bring a ripple effect as far as chaos. So my freedom, even if it's a constitutional right, it does not give me complete freedom as to what I can say or do. So are we truly free? First, let's go to the Spirit's book, and I like this topic. Question 825. Kardec asked, are there any positions in the world where we could really enjoy absolute freedom? Do you think there's any place, anywhere, that we can absolutely be free? Well, the answer is no, because all of you need one another, from the most powerful to the most impoverished. So Individuals cannot enjoy absolute freedom because your freedom, again, ends when you infringe on the freedom of your brother or sister. So you cannot enjoy this. And that goes into the second question that Kardec brings to us. 826, he asked the spirits, what would be the condition in which a person could enjoy absolute freedom? And again, the spirits are a little jokesters here, but they say, as a hermit in a desert. Again, as soon as two people find each other, they have reciprocal rights and duties to respect, and they're no longer absolutely free. See, we can see this being a problem in a lot of times when one person wants to dominate the other person. One person believes that their word is the right word, their way of doing things is the right way, and only the right way, and only the right word. And the problem is not believing that. The problem is trying to impose on others what your beliefs are. That is a very big problem, my friends, because that again imposes your belief on another person, and nobody wants anything imposed on them. I'm going to bring you a thought. Who owns you? Who owns you? I'm asking you a simple question. Who are the people who own you, who are looking at me right now? It's one of those questions that you may stop and say, absolutely nobody owns me. Are you sure about that? Nobody owns you. This is so, so important, because a true person, a person with true freedom, a free person, this person is immune, again, immune to the neurotical, or normal attempts of others to regulate your behavior. That is a true person, a truly free person. When you are immune from any other person's neurotic attempts, and we know that there's a lot of people that have this neurosis of control, this need to control. When you are immune as to their control, and it could be a psychological control, not a physical control. Physical freedom is actually the least of our worries, but the psychological freedom, that is a very, very big thing. So when you are free, when you are immune to that, and even true attempts to really control you, when you are not controlled because somebody owns you, because somebody has something on you, when somebody intimidates you, when somebody blackmails you, when somebody has made any kind of threats, if you do this, I'll tell what you did. Or if you don't join my movement, you will have consequences at your work. When you do not accept our rules, then you are out of the club. Well, you have a choice. You have a choice to be out of the club and own you, or if that's agreeable, if you are agreeable to the rules of the club, you may join the club and enjoy, because you are free and you are with the rules of the club. You see that? We have to be very careful. Even in a spiritist movement, we have to be very careful if we try to grab people or put them all in a box, and we develop this papal movement, or if we develop people or a few people decide to own what we ought to do or ought not to do. And when you try to regulate what people should be, what books they should be reading, what lecturers they are accepted to listen to, where your center should be located, see, you are no longer your own owner. Somebody owns you. Even if you don't agree, you have to do that, because now somebody owns you. And we have to be very thoughtful of this. Even when we're doing some kind of a favor for someone, do we do any kind of favor and we also take a little piece of the other person's freedom because we're going to own that person? We have to be very, very careful. Yesterday I had someone tell me that she did not want to owe any favor to this specific person. And she says, I don't want to ask them to do this for me because I know the person, and somehow someday she's going to call this favor back. And for all those times, all those whatever, as long as it takes, that person will partially own me, because I know it's not a true favor. This person is not doing out of their own hearts. It's an exchange. And once you do exchanges, you own and you owe. So we have to be very careful what we do. Charity, true charity, is a one-way street as far as doing, but it's absolutely a two-way street as far as receiving in a different way. So when you do something and you truly do, and you close the door on that, on any expectations of anything back, then you're being truly charitable. But when you expect something back, you are taking a piece of the other person's liberty and freedom, because you are trying to control their behavior in the future, something that they have to do it for you down the road. So I always find that it's easier for us not to owe favors. For us, if we need a favor, ask for the favor and accept the favor, and within yourself, close that door as far as believing that you owe something back, because that's not your problem. If somebody tried to do something nice for you, you accept it, you thank them, but you don't have to feel that you owe them anything. Otherwise, it's not a favor. Otherwise, it's an imposition. Really, it's, it's an exchange. And it's nice for us to know where we stand from the beginning. Is what you're doing something truly freeable, let's say it that way? Or are you doing this, you want me to do something down the road? Of course, we're not going to verbalize that, but we have to feel it so we can maintain ourselves free. Again, a free person is immune to any kind of attempts of others to control their behavior. It's a very powerful phrase, because I want to own me. Another concept I always like to bring is from Dr. Julian Rotter, 1966. This psychologist who brings us the concept of locus of behavior. Locus of behavior will tell you that there is an internal locus of behavior and an external locus of behavior. What is that? Well, internal locus of behavior is the person who truly believes that they are the masters of their own destiny. Those are the people that usually end up being high achievers. Those are the people that actually feel that they're in control of their own lives. They're positive. They don't attribute anything to faith or luck or chance or any of that. They really grab the driver's seat of their own life, and they direct it where they want to, and they take control. Now, the other external locus of control, those are the people that usually will see themselves as victims of whatever circumstances. They're the ones that will say, well, it's really the environment that affected the way I behaved, or this. Of course, there's some of each in everybody's lives. But once you believe that, well, my car just ran out of gas, and then once it ran out of gas, the policeman came, and then he realized, he saw that my blinker light was out, and then I got a ticket. I have the worst luck. You see that? You are supposed to know if you need gas or not, and you're supposed to gas your car before you leave, and to pay attention to your vehicle to see if there's anything off or on. Again, I'm not saying every case is a case. Of course, we can forget. There could be accidents. The light might have just broken as you're driving. But what I'm saying is, those who like to attribute everything to luck or they become victims, right? And they're never free, because they're never in control. Everything is somebody else's fault. Again, it's nice for us to think that who owns us should be us. We should be the masters of our own lives. And we know in Spiritism, it's so clear that the law of cause and effect acts constantly throughout everything we do, through all the lives that we've had and the future. So you're not happy with the way your life is now? Well, do you want to see how it will be in the future? Look at what you're doing right now. Are you being your own master? Are you taking that wheel and driving it the way you want it to be? Maybe things are not so great now, but you know what? You have this freedom to change it. We all do. No matter how tough things are, there is always something that we can change. And that leads me to another question from the Spirit's book. What would the condition, 833, the question is there anything in human beings that escape all limitations and of which they enjoy absolute freedom? Ooh, that's a good question. So is there any condition, anywhere, any way that human beings actually enjoy absolute freedom? They enjoy, that's the answer, they enjoy unbounded freedom in their thoughts, as there is no obstacle to thought. Remember when Socrates was going to be killed, and when his friends gathered, they just went together to his cell block, and they said they wanted to free him, and he says, but I'm free. I'm free. My thoughts are free. So Kardec will bring to us that our thoughts, we can go anywhere in our thoughts. If I ask you here who's listening to me or who's watching this video, go to Greece. Go to Greece. Imagine yourself, go up to Greece and sit on a calm beach in Santorini. Well, we're there. We can bring ourselves, and if we learn to meditate and to truly be in the moment, we can be in the moment in our thoughts. We can actually be in a cell, sit down in a cell. Nelson Mandela did this for years. So we can really sit there and our thoughts be brought someplace else. We can write books in our minds. Nobody can interfere with that. Any interference is already something that was pre-established prior to our reincarnation. So if I do any bad use of my thoughts, and thus my actions will follow, then I may come back with limited ways of using my thoughts. So that is a perfect law. See, the law of cause and effect. It is the most beautiful law there is. So the law of freedom represents the freedom of thinking, the freedom of everything you think you do. You wouldn't wear whatever outfit you have on now if you didn't think about putting that outfit on. So our actions, what we speak of, what we do in life, that is direct. Those are direct consequences of what we're thinking, right? We can mask ourselves, and some people are amazing at masking themselves, but eventually the masks, they fall, because eventually you need to show vulnerability. You need to be yourself. And some people may lead an entire life hiding from who they truly are. But again, that shows what? They are not free. Because you can only be free if you are true to who you are. Then you're free. But okay, but what about those people that have acted with their thoughts and evil things? Where is the freedom of those who do evil in relations to us? Are we supposed to do anything about it? That brings me to the fourth question. Kardec asks, 841 on the Spirit's book. Out of respect for the freedom of conscience, that's the freedom of conscience, if you're doing something that is right or wrong, right? Should we allow the spread of malevolence theories or doctrines? Should we instead try to bring those who led us astray by false principles back to the right path without violating the freedom of conscience? And in other words, Kardec is asking, for those people that have doubtful conscience on what is right or wrong, if they're propagating evil, if they're propagating anything that is not right, are we allowed to violate their rights to do that? Look how amazing Kardec is. I mean, this is in the Constitution of the United States, right? 1776, the freedom from England and all of that. But then they draw up this beautiful paper, this beautiful document that has something here, right? And Kardec pretty much says the same thing. So then the spirits will answer, of course, not only it's possible to bring them back to the right path, but you should attempt to do so. So yes, it is our duty to bring wrong to right. However, and this continues on the answer, this should be done following Jesus's example, using gentleness and persuasion, and not by resorting to force. which would be worse than the false belief of those you're trying to convert. Now think how beautiful this is. When you see something wrong and you try to do, to really eradicate an evil with another evil, then you are just strengthening their way of thinking because you're not following Jesus's principle of love. People who are hated need, what do they need? They need love. If you throw hate to those who already are hated, you are propagating more hate. And in their minds, they are justifying your hate. They're justifying what they're doing. If it's wrong, they're justifying it because they're saying, see, people are just haters. I have to continue to do what I do. But once you follow Jesus's principle and you show persuasion with love, showing the other person it's to their best interest to perhaps do differently, then things change. Then you're not infringing on their free will because you are just suggesting. You are showing with love. You are not imposing. Another part of the answer is, if there is something that ought to be imposed, it is goodness and fraternity. Goodness and fraternity. Those are the only things that ought to be imposed on anybody. Do good. Persist in doing good. Persist in being a fraternal brother or sister. But we do not believe that the means for doing so is violence. Beliefs cannot be imposed by violence. Again, when we see any kind of any kind of gathering, people gathering to protest, the minute that you use violence in your word or physically, you lose all the rights. You made yourself even worse of whatever it is that you're protesting. Because again, beliefs cannot be imposed by violence. It has to be imposed by examples, by Jesus's example. Fraternity, persuasion, love. By doing what is right, you educate whatever is happening that is wrong. That is the only way, my friends. There is no other way. Or we're going to keep poking each other for many more lives until someone has to say, enough, enough. I have to just impose love. And that's what Jesus asked us to do, to love one another, to love God above all things, but really love one another. That's what Spiritism teaches us, to love one another. Loving others also means for you to respect them, respect their way. You don't have to agree. You don't have to say, I support what they're doing. No, you may not support. I, for example, had a friend who asked me if I could drive her to an abortion clinic. Well, I don't support abortion. So I would not drive her. Yet, if after the abortion she's not feeling well and she needs the house to stay and she is whatever, she's sick or she's ill, I'm not closing my door to her. She's welcome to stay at my house. But I will not be part of whatever wrong, correct? That I have achieved the thought that ending a life is wrong, no matter whatever it is that it made that happen. I don't even have to respect it. All I have to do is not violently oppose to it and show the other way. That's what Jesus says. Show the other face, right? Show the other cheek. What is this show the other cheek? Show that there is another way. Show that she would have all the support she would. Show that there is a life inside of her, that she can do it, that you would be there for her. You see, there's a lot of other ways of convincing people than showing them violence, than showing them that they're wrong with your ill words even. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has never worked. Violence or imposition of words has never worked. The last question. What about those vices, right? And we all think, well, I wish I was free from my vice. I wish I was free from things that seem bigger than me. We know that a lot of times we like to throw it in our obsessors, right? Or in the devils in a lot of religions. Oh, the devil made me do it. Oh, it's my obsessor that's making me do it. Well, they don't make anybody do anything. They can heighten, but they can't make it up. If you are doing something, they can't make up the will for you to do that in you. They can't do it. It's impossible. Nobody can create any will inside of you. They can heighten it. They can influence that will to be bigger and grander, but they can't invent it. So if I feel like doing any kind of anything that's bad, it has to grow from me first. And then I invite others to say, yeah, go for it, do it, right? So what about these vices? What about the things that we want to rid ourselves from? What about the things that we like to say, well, I want to free myself from this? Very interesting now. Question 845. Again, go to the Spirit's book and read the third part of the Spirit's book. Kardec brings the moral laws. Maybe today's exercise is for you to go and read the law of liberty. That's a very appropriate day to study that. It's not a big chapter at all, but read the questions and the answers. And you'll be very, you'll get that eureka moment that a lot of times, if we don't read that part, we'll kind of go through life as if somebody owns us. So the question is, are the instinctive tendencies that human beings have at birth an obstacle to their exercise of free will? Interesting, because instincts, a lot of times we say, well, instincts, we're all born with instincts and instincts only. Not on planet Earth, because it's not a primitive world. So nobody's here for the first time. We've been here, we've been around. We can't use instincts anymore. We know we are no longer primitive spirits that act purely on instincts. But when you have the instinctual, we still have some, of course, but we can't blame that and say that that's all we have. The answer is the instinctive tendency of every individual belong to their spirits before incarnation. Of course, then, their tendencies belong to them before you were born. So you weren't born and then that was imposed there. That was there before you even were born. If they were not very advanced, these tendencies may motivate such individuals to do wrong. And spirits who sympathize with the wrong, they support them. However, whoops, sorry, my doggy just, look, you have to see him. Look at this precious thing. He just came to say hello. I hope you all excuse me, but my doggy just came here and jumped. He's a puppy. So the answer is, if they are not advanced, these tendencies may motivate such individuals to do wrong. And spirits who sympathize with the wrong, they do support them. So again, if you have these tendencies and you're not working on those tendencies, you may invite spirits that sympathize with those tendencies. And they can heighten those tendencies for you to act a lot more easily. However, this goes back to the answer. No temptation is irresistible when there is a determination to resist. Remember that. Where there is a will, there is a way. Look at this phrase. If you want to be free, if you want to be a free person, I don't want people to own me anymore. I don't want to feel intimidated. Why do with that person, they kind of make me do things I don't want to do? That, I don't know, maybe perhaps I was invited to this place and I feel that I have to go because they really invited me and there's no way around it. And I have to be there now. How many times we do things that we truly don't want to do? And of course, there's the law of society. There's things that we do and we're not so happy to do it, but we do it because it'll bring happiness to others. And when that happens, you end up wanting it to do it. But there are so many times that we say, I can't resist. There's some temptations. There's some things that are, they're so hard and I can't resist. I can't resist the alcohol. I can't resist the gossip. I can't resist. Yes, you can. The Spirit's book. To me, it's the most amazing book that everybody should have on their bedside. Kardec asks that question directly. Is there anything? Is it these tendencies? Do they limit us from free will? Does it mean that I don't have the right to resist them? Do I have that I don't really own myself? And the spirits say, oh yeah, these tendencies, they're terrible. These vices that you are stuck on, they're true chains of your own freedom. However, they are not irresistible as long as there's a determination to resist. So we have to have the determination. We have to what? To want it. And if you want it, there's a way. We have to humble ourselves to ask for help. Of course, there are some things that we can't do alone. We cannot do by ourselves. But you know what? Everything that we do is a direct consequence of the way we think. So once we work on the way we think, then we can free ourselves from what we do. We need help with that. We need help, especially from prayer. How many connections are we not making with the above, with the sacred? Because we're too busy. Sometimes we pray so much for God to hear what we want, and we forget to pray and listen to his answer. So many times we don't listen to what God is trying to tell us. So many times we want to be free, but we don't have a relationship with God. We don't have a relationship with the only almighty power that actually can own us, yet he doesn't. He gives us free will. He gives us complete direction over our decision, our lives. And sometimes as a good father, he won't let the child walk towards a hole. He'll cover the places where you put any kind of fire. He will put he'll safeguard the house, because a good father safeguards the house, because their little children don't know what's in the closet. There's harmful things in a drawer. There are knives in the drawer. They're not able to go in a drawer and know what to do with a knife. So that's what a good father does. So he closes that drawer so the child doesn't get hurt. So he limits the freedom of the child because he knows what's best for that child. So I'm just trying to make an analogy here. And that is how our Father works. God sometimes closes a door for us, and we think we want to go through that door. I'm so curious about what's on the other side. Oh, I want to be with that person. And somehow God just kind of says, no, this door will be closed for this incarnation. That person won't be accessible to you at this moment. He is not limiting your freedom because he's an evil father. He's limiting your freedom because he loves you. So everything that we're not able to get, let's be thankful for it. Let's have the determination to change what doesn't work for us, what is harming us. At the same time, let's have the acceptance. Remember the serenity prayer I did here a few months ago, the 12-step program, as they do in the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, but we brought this into anxiety and depression. It's all here on Kardec Radio. You can look at the past videos. We talked about this serenity prayers to give the courage for us to change the things we can, right? But also to give the patience, to the acceptance, to understand that we can't change it all. For the things that we cannot change, we have to surrender. And so if we are going to do the Our Father, the prayer of the Our Father, and we ask God to let his kingdom come, to do, to really take charge, but we have to allow him to do it then, allow him to take charge of our lives. And sometimes that means giving up a little bit of freedom, because we wouldn't know what to do with that freedom. And most likely we would lose ourselves in that freedom. So any doors that are closed, let's pray. Let's ask God, if that door has to be closed, let him show us that it really needs to be closed. And for us to resignate to the idea that that door is not accessible in this lifetime because it will not be good for me. So let me go and open 1,800 other doors. I think, my friend, I said everything that I wanted to bring to you, everything as far as this law of freedom, this law of liberty. And it's such a beautiful law, and I really hope that we can all exercise this beautiful freedom, especially in this beautiful country. I have nothing to say badly about this beautiful, beautiful country. There are things that we may not agree. There is governmental laws that we may not agree, but you know what? It's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful place to live in. I am here speaking about Spiritism freely. I am here speaking about what I believe and not imposing on others what I believe, but sharing my ideas and inviting those who want to seek more to come and learn. One of these ways of learning you can tune into this beautiful channel, Card Deck Radio. It's been here for many years, and there's so many material there. You can also go on their podcast. You can go online and look for the Card Deck Radio website. I thank you guys so much, and I truly hope that you enjoy the 4th. If you have pets, take care of them. With all the fireworks, they get very anxious, they get very nervous. Let's keep them inside and hugging them and giving them love. And also, let's watch those who have the vice or who have the habit of doing anything that is not good for their health. Whoever goes out drinking today, or please act responsibly. There are many out there driving. There are many there with families in their cars who do not need to shorten their lifetime because of somebody else's vices. Again, all our vices, they're not irresistible if you have the will to resist them. Happy 4th of July, America. Happy birthday, America. And happy 4th of July to all of you. I hope I can be here soon, and we'll talk again, friends. Many kisses to you all.